Hi friends, this is Capuen Piso, 22nd of March 2016. I'm going to explain to you, as I said, I'm Prophet Capuen Piso, an attack by Islam psychotics, dysfunctional psychopath, an attack to Christ psychosis infected Belgium, Brussels. See, the mental illness of religious beliefs, the virus in the brain. The brain is the one that creates thinking and does all this stuff. It creates cultures, but it also destroys civilizations. And you can see that what happened to the vast Roman Empire when Christianity took over in 325 CE, the Christian in Brazil. Unfortunately, because of the Christian Christ psychosis psychopath Emperor Constantine I, a Christian, a psychopath, was in control of the whole vast empire, Constantinus. And imagine Donald Trump being controlling the United States of America. Something similar will happen. Be really a problem, because she loves fascism, like the one of Mussolini and the rest. But anyway, this is a reaction. To any action, there is always a reaction. And this is, of course, happens because Islam psychosis is a reaction to the Crusades, to the Christians. And those who ignore the past are condemned to repeat it. I've said that ad nauseam. United States is the most ignorant nation on the planet, controlled and ruled by churches, by Christ psychosis infected imbeciles. You have raping the brain of children, and then when they grow up, become Christianity infected imbeciles, clueless of reality, clueless of anything. Look at the Congress of the United States of America. They're all Christians. Christianity is a disease. All religions are a disease. It's a virus of the brain, born a virus. It's like an HIV of the brain. Like I've said in all my YouTube videos, I keep repeating it all the time. And this week is Dies Sanguinis, the Day of Blood. In other words, Good Friday, which is equivalent to Ashura, equivalent to Passover. If you go back to the past, you realize where the whole thing came from. Everything came from the assassination, the sacrifice of the Lord and Savior Julius Caesar, the Christus. Because Jesus Christ is a title, as is Moses, as is Solomon, as is David. There's all titles. They're no people. It's like somebody's looking for Uncle Sam. They cannot find Uncle Sam, or looking for POTUS, President of the United States, and nobody can find, because POTUS can become a combination of all the Presidents of the United States, and you believe it's a person that exists. And nobody can find it because, of course, it's a title over many, many, many people. And the same with Jesus Christ, the title of many Roman emperors, the divine. So, but this is what happens when you have a religion's psychosis. Because all religion, this person, this is a suicide bomber, he's going to get his virgins. See? In paradise. Because if it was a little kid, they constantly infect him with this Islam crap of praying 5 times a day, reading to one book. And there's 73 sects in Islam. 73, there's only one. Like Christ psychosis, the same thing in Christian. And the Crusades, 1095, 250 years of worse atrocities than this, believe me. They burned the Jews, the Christ killers, the Jews in synagogues, and the Muslims, and everybody together when they attacked Jerusalem. Now, this reaction. Now look at Brussels. Brussels is a Christianity-infected nation. In the 1800s, one of the worst psychopaths controlling the Congo and controlling Africa. Because of the King Leopold. The guy was amazingly psychotic. The guy was a bloodthirsty tyrant, Christian, enslaved, and he massacred so many
Islamic infected villages.
He massacred a lot of the natives because they had to impose a Christian crap on everybody in the Congo. You have to read history. And of course, there were Muslim psychotics, and ISIS, I'm very certain, is actually telling everybody about the atrocities of the Christian psychopath Leopold, considering the natives in Africa inferior because they were Muslims and they had to be converted and they turned into slaves. And they happen in South America also, all over the place, but the Spanish conquistadors. But this happened in the Belgian Congo. Let's go through history, and I will tell you why this happened. These are reactions of things of the past, of atrocities committed by Christianity, infected imbeciles, this psychopath, these disgusting, infected people. And this infection of Christianity happens in churches. It raped the brain of children. I love Christians. Like I love schizophrenic, I love people suffering from AIDS. But I hate the very bad disease, brain disease that afflicts them. Religious is a mental cancer. It's a cancer of the brain, like an HIV AIDS. Same thing, but of the brain.
Are there specific threats against these high-profile targets?
See? This Christianity-infected imbecile, they don't understand the history. Those who do not know the past are condemned to repeat it. And Americans are the most ignorant, history-ignorant idiots, Christian imbeciles in the whole planet. And these morons are in control of government. They don't understand why the suicide bombers happen. They don't understand the Congo, the Belgium Congo, the atrocities committed by Christianity-infected imbeciles. It's Christianity, it's a disease. It's a psychopathy, and this is because of all this. To any action is a reaction. This is the problem. They're reacting against the Christian imbeciles, and they don't understand. They don't understand reality, they don't understand history. Idiots. Here, let me show you. Let me show you. And with the technology we have today, at the internet, all that, there is no excuse for anybody to be so stupid and ignorant. Tunnel vision imbeciles, Christianity-infected idiots in America, the dumbest nation on the planet. Look. This is a psychopath. This guy's a Christian. Christianity-infected. You think Hitler was bad? Look at this. Death and mutilation of 10 million Congolese Africans during the late 1800s. Look at that. What religion was this imbecile? He was king anointed by the grace of God, like all the kings in Europe, all Christians. See what I mean? You have to study history to understand what's going on, and everything's in the brain. The brain creates all the thinking and reasoning and everything else. When the brain is sick, it creates sick thinking, which is religion. Just one of these schizophrenias. Idiots. Here, study this. Study this imbecile, this disgusting Christian psychopath. British missionaries. What is the idiot missionaries doing in Africa? And look at this, they are holding hands. These are hands, cut hands by the Mongolese. Look at this, right there is the evidence. Look at this. Mutilated people because they are not Christian, they are black because they are inferior. Thanks to these psychopath Christians.
I wish nature-loving natives would have killed all these missionaries, eaten them, chopped their heads off. Look at this disgusting asshole.
Don't you think ISIS tells their followers about the atrocities committed by the crusaders of King Leopold II, the psychopath, the butcher of Congo? They're all Christians. They destroyed over 10 million people. Death and mutilation. Thanks to this psychopath. Idiots. There. Butcher of Congo. Read it. And you know, this will continue to happen. Continue to happen. And the problem is the elephant in the room that nobody seems to see. Everybody trying to fight terrorism. They say, oh, they're radicalized. Well, religious beliefs is a mental illness, it's a psychopathy. All of them. And it happens in the brain. It's like an HIV of the brain. So, all religions, as I have said ad nauseam, created in the brain, all of them have Eiffel fever. The same way that all religious, all schizophrenias mental disorders have also hypophoba. And hypophoba is imaginary friend or foe, irrational belief acceptance. It's like a little kid when he's a 1-year-old, 2-year-old that cannot tell between fact and fiction, and is during the imprinting period using the brain and the 5 senses to make sense of the world, and sees fantasies of Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck, the Tooth Fairy, the Boogeyman, and all these fears and all this stuff as if they were true. And if this little kid grows up to be 18 years old and is very educated and still believes in the same fantasies to be reality, which religions are full of hypophoba, fantasy, imaginary friend or foe, irrational belief acceptance, as you can find in schizophrenia. It's all created in the brain. And if that happens, the kid, the person, the adult, the 18-year-old can still believe in the fantasies, is seen as having mental problems. And like mental retardation and all these problems, and it can be a savant, can be very intelligent, but he still believes in these imaginary friends and these ancient aliens and all this bunch of stuff. He has a problem with the brain. So, terrorism, if you study history, is created by sick brains, psychopathy, which all religions and schizophrenias have. So, what is terrorism? If you want to fight terrorism, you fight the disease in the brain of the terrorist, which are infected with religious psychosis, which is believing imaginary friends to be reality and to be true. So this is what's happening in Islam. If you bring people, if Europeans accept Muslims, Islam psychotics, there are 73 sects, and they come to Europe, well, you cannot accept people that are sick. So you have to tell them, if you want to come into Europe or into the United States, you have to leave your psychosis behind. You cannot practice your schizophrenia of religious beliefs. You can't. You cannot have those veils and covering up. You have to leave that at home. Otherwise, you cannot enter the country. But then, before you do that, you have to get rid of all the churches in the United States. You have to get rid of all this religious psychosis education. You have to get rid of all that to be mentally healthy, to be an atheist, because an atheist is a person that doesn't believe in the mythologies of religion. In other words, he doesn't have hypophoba. So when you're trying to cure them, you don't cure the terrorists. They have infected brains. They're all religious psychosis people, because religion is the one that induces all this. Because you have your own particular imaginary friend that you believe is true, and you have to impose it on everybody else, like the Christian missionaries did. Disgusting people. They ruin all these cultures. Let's go back to the Inquisitions, the conquistadors in the Americas, 1492 and so forth. The missions. And this is what people do not see. If you want to cure the religion, you cure the religion, you cure the brain, infected brain with religion. You don't say they are radicalized. No, these people, it's like trying to cure tuberculosis or trying to cure cancer by treating the symptoms of the cancer. You cannot cure it. That's what happened in all religions. So they all come into the United States, they're Islam psychotics, they wear those veils, and you allow mosques to be around. But these little kids are infected with this Islam psychosis for praying 5 times a day because of freedom of religion. Freedom of religion in the United States of America or in any place in the world, in Europe and all that, which is Christ psychosis infected. People forget about Hitler, Christian Hitler. And see, they deviate and they think it was an atheist. No, atheism is mentally healthy. Hitler was a Christianity infected person, just like the Inquisitors, just like the Vatican, just like all these lunatics. They're trying to impose their schizophrenia on other people. And this is the problem. You cannot have freedom of schizophrenia, freedom of psychopathy, which that's what religion is. And is the elephant in the room nobody seems to see. It's in the brain creates it. These terrorists, they are these Islam psychotics that you call terrorists. They're psycho people. They believe in these virgins and this beautiful pleasure because they are deprived of sex. Because since they were little kids, 5 times a day, reading the Quran and reading the same crap. Believe me, the same thing happened to Christians. You know, 300 or 1,000 years ago. This identical for Christianity. Christianity is also composed of many sects. It's also a psychosis, a mental illness. It's like that nobody seems to see. And these people run the country. Look at the GOP. They ignore science. They're anti-science idiots. Ted Cruz's father is a pastor. The guy should be in a mental institution. And he was brought up with this Christian crap. Look at Ted Cruz. Look at Donald Trump. Same thing. This Hitler and Mussolini wannabe. And these people are running the country. Nobody seems to see it. They're lunatics. So, you know, you have to get rid of all the churches in the United States, put all these people in mental institutions where they belong, treat it like you treat the schizophrenia. You cannot let them do the schizophrenia and just treat the symptoms and say, oh, and separate the terrorists and the thing. No, people that are religious are in itself terrorists, a terror waiting to happen. And they express their delusions. These people that bombed in Belgium, that did all this, the Islam psychotics, that went to Paris and went, and you still allow the Muslims to practice, and these are centers of infection. So you have to get rid of and they're created by the brain. And they go over there and they kill the infidel. And if you kill yourself, boy, how are you going to stop that? You have to stop it from the root, which is religion, psychosis. All of them. This God-believe nonsense. You know, because God does not exist. It's a psychosis. The imaginary friend, I for fever, imaginary friend for irrational belief acceptance. And that's exactly what's happening. And these Muslims very gladly, I mean, this go over there, hey, he doesn't have any sex, you know, he's being controlled by the Islam psychosis as a little kid. You have going to have virgins in paradise. You have to memorize the Bible. It's just like the people reading the Bible. Exactly the same thing. Going to churches, kneeling down and Jesus and all that, and prayers. There are communication, telepathic communication with imaginary friends. That's what prayers are. You have to be crazy. You have to be psychotic to believe in this nonsense in this 21st century. It's okay if it's the 8th, 9th, 10th century, because you didn't know any better. It's like a little kid, 2-year-old kid believing in Mickey Mouse and Santa Claus. It's okay because it's a 2-year-old kid. But if he's 18 and believes in all these fairy tales, something is wrong. That's exactly what happens with religious psychosis, stagnate the brain, and it's just like a schizophrenia. Exactly. Find me one, just one religion that doesn't have IFOFIBA, that is not based on imaginary friend or for irrational belief acceptance. Find me one brain disorder that does not have IFOFIBA, imaginary friend or for irrational belief acceptance, because it's all created in the brain. And that's a fact, friends. And seeing the religion, psychosis, only the symptoms are treated. If you have cancer of the lungs, and they will give you
cough syrup or antibiotics
to fight the coughing, to fight all these problems, but they don't, you don't go to an oncologist, and you do all this stuff, and they treat the symptoms, and you feel better, but you still have the cancer. It's exactly the same thing trying to fight terrorism. You cannot fight terrorism, which is in the brain of these people that are the terrorists, which are all psychotic. They're all religious, psychotic people. In this case, Islam psychotics that want to go to heaven, which it doesn't exist, but they believe it is. It's like ancient aliens. You actually remove the churches and synagogues and mosques, and you cannot. If you want to come to Europe, all the refugees from Syria, from all that, leave your Islam psychosis behind. You cannot enter the country and be allowed if you believe in those crap. You have to learn the language of the country. But then, if you come in, you're coming into Christianity-infected Europe. They have the same stupid beliefs, but they have churches, and it's called Christianity. And that's what's happening in Belgium. Christianity-infected nation. Belgium. Yes, and they have all these churches. And they had all these people killing all the Muslims In Africa, King Leopold, study the history. The problem is that those who don't know the past are condemned to repeat it. And the only thing you get in church is garbage. It stagnates your intellect. Any place of worship, church, mosque, synagogue, stagnates the intellect, makes you stupid, theotated, and imbecile, believing in imaginary friends. That's what churches do. And they are the cause of all the problems. It's like having it infected with HIV, AIDS. Exactly the same thing. That's what religion is, part of the brain. You appear regular, but you go to church and you pray, and all of a sudden you react. Or you go to a mosque and all of a sudden, oh, the infidel, if I kill these Christians and I blow myself up and I go to heaven. And that's what they do. And look at the cities in Syria, completely destroyed because religion destroys civilizations. And watch out, United States of America and Christian Europe, they're going to destroy you too. They already started. So you have to kill the cancer. You cannot just ignore it and treat the symptoms. Because religion is a mental illness and it happens in the brain. It doesn't come from the outside. That's what your terrorism is. It's due to religious psychosis. That's exactly what happened. Nobody killed himself just because of politics. You killed himself because you have belief in imaginary friends, gods, and all the nonsense. And that's the truth, friends. I always tell the truth. Facts talk, bullshit walks. 2 + 2 = 4. Not 6 or 7 or 8 or whatever number religious psychotics believe it is. I'm telling you it is. So eliminate the churches. And atheists, mentally healthy atheists, wake up. Wake up and smell the coffee. Because and look at the disease, the elephant in the room that hides in plain sight, that nobody seems to see, which is religion is a mental illness. It's a cancer of the brain. It's a psychopathy will destroy our civilization if you guys don't address it. That's because of all the problems. Religious psychosis, the illness of the brain. In Pace Deorum.